So, Daniel, we just got out of watching The Big Sick.
The Big Sick, that's like the Big Six, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, see the 5 previous films of this. It was Fast 5 was the first one. The Big Sick, this is the movie that is loosely based on Kumail Nanjiani's real life, how he met his wife. He grew up in Pakistan, moved to the United States, fell in love with a white woman, which was very much against his upbringing of a Pakistani background and his Muslim faith, and him kind of reconciling with that.
Would you say Muslim faith? Do you want to say something about your
I know,
Muslim
I'm like,
faith?
like my Muslim faith.
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah.
you can tell. You can tell.
It's obvious.
So I'll jump into this right away. Daniel, we didn't really talk much about like our personal feelings of this movie before I pushed record here. I loved this movie.
I love this movie so much.
Like, fell in love with it. Was like totally on board like 5 minutes into it. It
it's hilarious, and yet it is so. We've talked before about how like I like movies that are realistic.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's see that guy fail. Let's like, and there's people fail in this movie.
Yeah, a lot,
It feels
yeah.
very accurate to life.
That 2 steps forward, 1 step back
Totally.
sort of scenario. It also kind of combines a few different things that I love about movies. Like I'm so high on myself that I think in my mind that if I was to become a filmmaker, this is the type of film I would be making. Like I could actually do it or something like that.
So have you met a Pakistani wife?
I have.
Okay.
It's crazy how similar it is. But I like seeing like behind the scenes of the entertainment industry. I love movies that kind of detail
there's a lot of
that.
comedy club.
So I get the in jokes that they're doing about comedy clubs, about comedy culture, and that sort of thing. I thought that was all done expertly well. Like there's a moment where it's like, why don't you just go and get on that Saturday Night Live program? It's like, okay, I'll just do that. I'll phone them up tomorrow and do that. But it also combines this very sweet relationship. Yeah. And I think that too often when you see movies and even romantic films, I think it elevates love to this almost unattainable goal or unattainable mission that you have. And this feels like, yes, there's hardships, but it feels like a very natural and real relationship. They're able to joke with one another. They're able to really play off one another.
The other thing that's interesting about it is that most romantic comedies, that I know from great personal experience, Kyle, of watching them all, is that you tend to focus on early love and the bliss of it.
Right.
This film is interesting because the girl's parents play a prominent role, and their marriage isn't exactly at the best point. They've had real failings in it, and you see that, you hear these confessions, and so it explores both that beginnings of love and then the failings within that beginnings, but then also what that could look like in a not so ideal situation. And I think it really celebrates like you say, love is an important part of that film. And even with the parents, they end up making it work at the end.
Right.
And the fact that they actually wrestle through that, I think is commendable and rare.
And to just hold that point for a second, because the one thing that I didn't mention about the plot is that they fall in love, and then she becomes very, very sick, goes into a medically...
I don't know if you noticed from the title of the film.
Yeah, medically induced coma, and now he has to reconcile with this relationship that was not in the best place when she went into the coma, and with her parents coming in and this whole atmosphere. Yeah. But what I wanted to say about what you just brought up was the fact that I really enjoyed the fact that everybody in this film was motivated by love. It may have been misguided in a way, but no one was doing like, I want to ruin your life, or I'm trying to push you out of the way to attain what I want as a goal. It was like, no, we're all trying to do what's best for the other person, and that was what was creating conflict.
Right.
And I think that was a really fascinating way to go about it.
Yeah, and like we were just saying, they are, even the characters that are on the other side of life, as it were, the older characters, are still fighting for love.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes you don't see that often. The other thing that's interesting about the film is you see a lot of people initially out there in the world through work or family that on the surface just feel like unpleasant people. And I thought it was interesting that this film, it shows the people's flaws, but at the end, Camille and his in-laws, I guess, down the road, end up really getting to know each other well through all their flaws. They don't hide any of it, but at the end, these people that on the surface you thought these are not nice people, are actually, you care for them at the end of the film.
Yeah.
There's a common humanity element that is really celebrated.
Yeah, really, really sweet. My arm is about to fall off because I'm just holding this phone with my arm. But one other aspect of the film that I really resonated with, to be vulnerable for a moment, is, I mean, there is a very large part of his life that Kumail is hiding from his parents. He knows that he's going to be essentially disowned by his family if he pursues this relationship.
Are you hiding this podcast from your parents?
I am hiding this podcast. But I mean, I even to this day, I have never really come out to my parents as being a bisexual person. I've never broached that subject. I like
You're watching this now, Mom and Dad.
Hello. in our society, we're able to hide behind presumed heterosexuality a lot. So if you never broach the subject, then you can just be like, yeah,
Right.
sure. I
Yeah.
didn't say yes, I didn't say no, so I'm not technically lying. But you really do feel that in your heart. I think that there's this huge barrier between you and the rest of your family that I do feel a lot of the times, because you can't be as open and you can't share that aspect of your
And
life.
it feels
with
like in
them.
this film that's something he ends up regretting at the
Yeah,
end.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
How does that affect you as someone who's...
Yeah, every time I see one of these types of films, it's like, yeah, I should really just do it, and then I chicken out. So I don't know.
Just
it's
email them one of your videos. It'll be
Yeah,
fine.
exactly.
Yeah.
It'll work out.
One of the things that I thought was interesting is his parents are from a very different culture than she is, and that becomes quite a clash within his family. My parents come from different culture backgrounds. Spoiler alert, they're both white. But
Whoa.
whoa! My dad's very English, and my mom's family is very German, Austrian, Hungarian,
Yeah.
European. And I know from stories that when they met and when they became a couple, that there was conflict on both sides of the family,
Right.
especially on my mom's side. And we just had a big family reunion that my entire mom's family gathered at my acreage. And there's something interesting that I talked about that common humanity element that I believe is important, but I do feel like even though my large family now, 25, 30 years later, they are together as a family because of the family tie, because of my parents' very strong faith. My dad is kind of seen as a leader, even on my mom's side of the family, because of his strong faith. And there's something, even at the family reunion, there was something extra tangible about us really being a true family despite the cultural differences.
Family's-
Just thought about that.
Family's important. Love is important.
Yeah, this film is great.
Yeah,
it's not out yet, but please
Yeah,
go
we had
see it.
a super sneak peek here, but definitely check it out if it's in your city. My name's Kyle, this is Daniel. We
Yeah.
do this podcast called Assumptions, which you can go and subscribe to in like iTunes and Google Play and anywhere that you get your podcasts. Is there anything else we need to do
No,
at the end of this?
let us know if you have any questions.
That's a good-
And if you've seen the movie and you have thoughts, if you come from a mixed family, if you're about to come out to your parents,
Yeah.
give Kyle some advice.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Bye.